games to play in 2023. It's safe to say that 2023 has been an unusual year for gaming so far, mainly down to publishers developing a habit of stealth releasing incredibly odd or otherwise unexpected titles. Seriously, who'd have ever thought that the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, essentially a joke, would come out of nowhere and prove to be one of the year's best games so far? Not us, for sure. And it's far from alone in the offbeat category. Thankfully, players have also been treated to a host of gaming excellence, from high-caliber remakes of beloved classics to the most impressive of big-budget blockbusters, by way of quirky indies and unexpected delights. Read Empire's mid-year list of the best games 2023 has offered up so far. Number 10. HiFi Rush. Dropping out of nowhere like a hot new mixtape back in January, HiFi Rush is the latest project from Tango Gameworks. It's a real oddity, though, rather than a chilling survival horror like the studio's The Evil Within series, or a supernaturally tinged action-adventure like Ghostline. Tokyo, it's a colorful, cartoonish rhythm-action game. While a massive departure from what players may expect of the developer, HiFi Rush is an absolute blast. With its madcap plot, you play wannabe rock star Che, whose futuristic iPod gets embedded in his chest in a cybernetic upgrade gone wrong, giving him the ability to fight in time with the beat of the world around him. Gorgeous comic book-inspired visuals, and of course, killer soundtrack making for one of the best surprises of the year. Number 9. Fire Emblem Engage. The latest entry in Nintendo's turn-based strategy series was simultaneously a mix of fan service and forward-thinking, with returning characters from past Fire Emblems serving as spirit partners to Emblem's new cast of heroes, led by Alir, the Divine Dragon, prophesied to save the world of Helios from the forces of the Fell Dragon. Its story was something of a tour of the franchise's past. It was in the combat itself that Emblem felt like an evolution, though, keeping the specificity of the turn-based model, but allowing a spectacular degree of customization for each warrior. From weapon specializations to skills inherited for training with those returning figures between battles, there's near infinite potential for how you develop your army. Number 8. Diablo IV. You're knee-deep in mud and bones, surrounded by a ravenous legion from the pits of hell itself, and having the time of your life. Such is the bloody spectacle of Diablo IV, an 11 years in the making return to form for Blizzard's action RPG series after the murky experiment of the mobile-focused Diablo Immortal. Chasing down Lilith, daughter of hatred, is the ostensible aim of the game, but this is a world so crammed with side quests, compelling supporting characters, and emergent storytelling that it's all too easy to find yourself straying for hours at a time. With bountiful potential for character builds and a giddying amount of loot dropping from every fell beast you slay to customize them with, there's no end to Diablo IV's dark delights. Number 7. Humanity. God is a Shiba Inu. This may not be news to dog fanciers, but to everyone else, learning that all our actions are guided by an ethereal canine might be of theological importance. In this latter-day Lemmings, said Shive has to lead our teeming masses through an increasingly challenging array of 3D maps, telling people when to turn, jump, and perform various other actions in order to reach and step into the light. Best not think about the implications of that too much. It sounds simple, but the difficulty quickly ramps up, demanding increasingly innovative applications of its simple commands to reach each goal. Humanity is frequently as brain-melting as you'd expect from a game produced by Tetsuya Mizuguchi, Res, Tetris Effect, but with its ability to serve up incredibly satisfying aha moments as you crack each stage, it'll soon be all you can think of. And with 90 levels for the story mode and an endless supply of user-created maps, there's a lot to think about, including why God is a Shiba Inu. Number 6. Final Fantasy XVI. The Phoenix plays an important role in Final Fantasy XVI. Fitting, then, that this proved to be a rebirth for the decades-old series. While it all but abandons any lingering pretenses of being an RPG, FFXVI still delivers all the weirdness and idiosyncrasies that mark it out as part of the series. Brooding swordsman, check, in leading man Clive Rosefield. Inscrutable but high-stakes politics with the fates of millions in the balance, check, with the feudal nations of Valistia, warring over territory using the series' familiar elemental summons as terrifying weapons of mass destruction. Unexpected emotional gut punches when you least expect them in the story? Check, for many spoilerific reasons. Number 5. Metroid Prime Remastered. The whims of Nintendo are inscrutable. Take Metroid Prime, for instance, one of the GameCube's most beloved titles and a high point in the interplanetary bounty hunting career of one Samus Aran. A modern remake had been rumored for years. What did Nintendo do? Sneak it out immediately after a Nintendo Direct back in February, catching everyone unawares. Still, when you have a game that's still, decades later, a work of genius, and Samus' leap into first-person 3D as she explores the strange world of Talon IV really is just that. You probably don't need much of a hype cycle. Remastered is essentially the same game as it was in 2002, with a coat of high-def paint and improved dual-stick controls. And that's all it needs to rank as one of the best games in 2023 too. Number 4. Star Wars Survivor. Surely it's only a matter of time before Cal Kestis makes the leap from games to the big screen, right? After all, the young JD, one of scant few to escape Order 66, now has 2 blockbuster action adventures to his name, and both are almost on par with cinematic Star Wars. Building on 2019's Fallen Order, Survivor continues Cal's story in the years between the prequel and original trilogies, now working from the shadows against the Empire. Rather than repeat all the tricks of the first game, though, developer Respawn has refined everything to perfection. There's less planet hopping, but the environments you explore are better realized, bigger, more populated, and filled with meaningful side quests. Number 3. Street Fighter VI. The best thing about Street Fighter VI is just how gloriously weird it is. Sure, it's immediately a best-in-class brawler, with a beefy roster of 18 new and returning world warriors to get to grips with. And yes, its combat is both reassuringly familiar to longtime fans, but also deliciously tactical thanks to the new drive gauge system, allowing you to counter or reverse opponents' attacks, or unleash ferocious drive impact assaults on your unfortunate victims. And sure, with classic controls, streamlined modern inputs, and even an eye-assisted dynamic mode, it's the most accessible Street Fighter ever. Number 2. Resident Evil 4. 2023 really is the year of the remake, but when they're as good as this reimagined Resi 4, we can't complain. Leon S. Kennedy's Spanish Vacation, taking in the sights and sounds of dilapidated towns and meeting not-so-friendly parasite-infected villagers as he tries to rescue the U.S. president's daughter, was an immediate high point for the series back in 2005. And nearly 2 decades later, Capcom has made it even better. It all looks stunning, of course, but it's small mechanical refinements that have outsized impacts, elevating the whole experience. The new ability to crouch, for instance, further heightens the fear factor as you try to sneak around undetected, while being able to parry attacks with your knife reduces the original's reliance on quick-time events. Number 1. Marvel's Spider-Man 2. The next game in the Marvel's Spider-Man franchise, coming to the PlayStation 5 console. Spider-Man, Peter Parker, and Miles Morales return for an exciting new adventure in the critically acclaimed Marvel's Spider-Man franchise for £5. Swing, jump, and utilize the new web wings to travel across Marvel's New York, quickly switching between Peter Parker and Miles Morales to experience different stories and epic new powers, as the iconic villain Venom threatens to destroy their lives, their city, and the ones they love.